So last Saturday, Colorado National Speedway held the season finale for us. We did end up coming up on the 6th the night before to test out the couple of changes we made between adding cross and changing out the left front spring. It felt pretty good on Friday, and obviously today being Saturday, during this practice session, we felt a little bit better as well. We're still hitting the limiter, so that's all that I could really ask for, and we did officially break into the 18.9s during this practice session, so it is nice to know that we're making progress. Although we're still not the fastest of the fast right now, getting into the 18s means we're now within a whole second of the people who usually are fast. So obviously that kind of progress is good, and hopefully now that we're getting a little more seat time in this car, we'll be able to come back next year and do a little bit better and hopefully make the fast feature a handful of times. But for right now, I think the progress we made this season, especially in the last 2 weeks with this car, has been monumental. So we're going to take it for what it's worth and hope that we can qualify pretty decently. For sure feeling better now in this car, especially after this practice session, knowing that we're in the 18s now. We're still pushing a little bit tight mostly through exit, but it seems like we're able to overpower it right now with the right rear. We did bump up the right rear pressure just a tiny bit for qualifying just to see if it'll help us out, but it seems like we're kind of getting in our own head whenever we run by ourselves, so that's definitely something I need to work on. But for now, we're just going to go out and try and qualify the best we can. Pretty happy with how we qualified right now. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the limiter on any of those laps, so I know we weren't in the 18s, but we qualified 18th overall out of 34 cars with a 19.1, which right now is the best qualifying time we've had ever. So that put us up on pole for the slower feature. Unfortunately, one spot short of making the fast feature, but that's something that we're going to try to do next year. First feature for us was only 15 laps, so the 17 cars that were in this feature, we got to lead them up to green, and hopefully we don't make any too major mistakes and keep it up front. First 5 laps comfortably here, but as we crossed the start finish line and headed into turn 1 during our 6th lap, the caution ended up coming out, and I guess we had heard that on the radio and felt something weird, so we ended up looping it on our own. We just kind of blended back into the track, and I guess I had ended up spinning after the caution had already come out, so they ended up waving me around to go back to the front and lead off, so we were able to restart back on the pole. Had a pretty good turns 1 and 2, but unfortunately, because we don't have a spotter, I don't know if I'm clear or not on the inside, so I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to the car in my mirror and end up holding the line on the outside. And after watching the video, I knew that we were clear, but by this time it's already too late and we're just kind of going off of whatever we can see. And then about halfway through the pack, the 19 car ends up losing his motor and we get another caution from it because they want to be able to have the chance to clean up all the oil in turns 1 and 2. So we end up restarting a lap later in the 3rd position and try and do what we can to make it back to the front. Been behind the 27 here for quite a few laps and finally saw the chance to make the pass as they washed up the track a little bit on the exit, and we were just able to get the better drive off the corner. So now we're kind of holding our line here in 2nd position and trying to do what we can to bring it home in this spot since this is the white flag lap for our first feature. And as we cross the finish line, the 14 in front of us is kind of checked out with a 2.5 lead, and we were able to bring it home in 2nd. So the top 5 cars had to go through tech and we passed with no problem. For our second feature, we ended up starting 7th position, which is the 4th row on the inside lane. They did an invert, but I'm not quite sure how they did it, so we'll just kind of go with however they did the invert. We are starting behind the 27 with the 14 and the 78 to their outside. We get a pretty good start here. We were following the 27 on the inside to kind of go around the 17 here. Try to do our best to be clean and stay low as we can. We're not going to have the best drive off, and we end up going 3 wide here with the 17 and the 78, but we have the inside line, so we're feeling pretty good. 17 washes up pretty high, but is able to get a good drive off the corner because of that, and ends up doing a switch over on us and is trying to pass on the inside, but it sounds like they got loose and ended up tagging our left rear, which from that contact, it ended up knocking the rivets off of our fender there and damaged our wheel very slightly, but not enough to pull us off the track from that. As we make another lap, I guess the 17 had been dealing with oil issues coming out of their breather, and that's why they got loose, so they tried to pull off the track, but ended up overshooting the exit, and the caution just comes out. At At this point, we've only completed 2 laps, so as soon as the caution was over, we lined back up, and now we're restarting 6th. The restart goes pretty smoothly. We do end up coming out to the outside because everyone seems to be braking a little bit earlier than we anticipated. The 11 comes up on our inside, and we tried to stick as best as we could to the outside and make it work, but as time goes on, we just kind of concede the position and fall in line and try and race a little bit smarter. So now after a handful of laps and that little checkup in turn 4, we finally got the run to make the pass on the 11 here on the outside of turn 1 and 2. And now we're taking a look at trying to overtake the 95 here in front of us. We attempted to try and make the outside work again for us, getting a decent run off of turn 4, but unfortunately they were able to pick up pretty early in turns 2, so we ended up falling in line behind them, trying to make sure that we're not going to destroy our cars, and then they ended up washing up a little bit in turn 3, so we took that as an opportunity to make the pass on the inside and try and chase down the cars in front of us. Running into a handful of lapped cars on the prior laps, and that allowed us to close the gap here to the 56 as well as the 48 in front of them. The 56 is running at 1250, but they're pretty quick, so we're trying to do what we can on the straights to try and get past them and try and outbrake them. We do end up making the pass here on the inside in turns 1 and 2, trying to focus on closing the door to the 48 in front of us, and then the caution comes back out again. And this is unfortunately a result of 2 lapped cars fighting for position, I guess, and ended up getting tangled up and going around in turns 1 and 2, so that ended up restarting us in the 4th spot and going for a nice little 2-lap shootout, a green-white checkered. The 14 takes the lead pretty early here, and at this point we knew we had to make something work if we wanted to move up into the top 3, so we're kind of just braking later than we want to and picking up earlier if we can, but as the track cooled down, our tires also cooled down and started dropping pressure, so we were unfortunately super tight throughout the last bit of this lap. The leaders got a little scattered there, so we had to scatter around them and tried to make the outside work again here, trying to get around the 48. We do have a really good run right here, but unfortunately just not enough real estate to make it work, and ended up taking the car home in P4. So not a bad weekend for us. Finished 2nd and 4th in our 2 features. So now all we got to do is load the car back up, take the trip back home, unload everything, and well, now I guess it's time to start our off season.
Are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take it to your hands, a plan your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the fucking hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and fuck all the doubters, they're just fucking downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm pissed off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
And so with the car back in the garage, that means our season has officially come to an end. We've learned a lot this year. We've had a lot of fun. Obviously we went through 2 cars, the 1250. We didn't destroy it, we didn't wreck it, but we did end up selling that car to get this one and ended up finding a little bit of speed with it. So I'm not too upset about it in our last race, but we've definitely got a lot on our plate to start tearing this car down and going through every single piece. And not a lot of time since our season typically starts around April, May. So we've got a lot of videos planned up for the next couple months, and hopefully you guys continue to stick around for it. I appreciate you guys following along on this channel and watching us go through what we need to go through for this year, and hope to have you guys stick around for next year. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope to catch you in the next one.
If you work for it, it's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.